Hey folks, Nick here from another Booktube channel, and today it's my 1,000 subscriber special where I'm answering your questions. Earlier this month, I crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is pretty cool. I did not start this channel with any intentions of being seen by really anyone other than like immediate friends, maybe. It was mostly a way to catalog my own thoughts and just keep track of like what I've read in a year, or if I had anything that I thought was interesting, having a place to just put it down, and just have a record of it. Because what I was finding would happen was I would read books, and then a few months later I would forget everything about them because I wasn't actively talking about them with anybody else. That's read those books. So I joined the Booktube community, found a lot of friends here, found a little niche, which is really cool. And I appreciate every single view that I get on one of these videos. My videos don't do tremendously well, even with 1,000 subscribers. But I like to think that they find the people that want to find them, and that the people that do find them enjoy them. So, and I enjoy making them, which is really the most important thing to me. So I wanted to do something a little bit special for 1K and just answer any questions that you guys might have about me. Some of these, I did get a pretty good list here. A lot of them from my subscriber Cheeseworks. So shout out to Cheeseworks for asking a lot of questions. Very curious person. And I'm just going to go through these, and yeah, I think some of them I've probably answered before in videos, but just for the sake of keeping things simple, I'll answer them again here. All right, so the first one, we're coming out swinging. Very important question to start things off, and that is, do you believe George R.R. Martin will ever release Winds of Winter? No. I do not think that we will get Winds of Winter in George R.R. Martin's lifetime. I think the best thing, well, maybe not the best thing, but I think what is more likely to occur is that he will pass, and will do it. What will happen is like a Wheel of Time situation where somebody else will pick it up and finish it based on hopefully the copious amount of notes that George R.R. Martin is keeping about how the story should go, so that we don't just have the TV show Game of Thrones happen again, where just someone makes it up as they go along. I think that is most likely at this point. I don't. It's not going to be Brandon Sanderson if it does happen. I know people always say that, like, "Oh, he should finish it." Brandon Sanderson already has like a 20 to 25 year plan for his own Cosmere worked out. He doesn't have time to finish A Song of Ice and Fire. So, but I still think someone else will finish it before George R.R. Martin finishes it. Second question. What comic or book do you think has had the biggest impact on your reading tastes? That was asked by Tom Orange. Hi, Tom. I like Tom's videos a lot, and I actually planned something with Tom hopefully soon. Okay, so in terms of books, maybe not a single book, but the Goosebumps series by R.L. Stine, I think, is one that was very formative for me, because it was the first series that I can remember reading based on like name recognition, where like I would go to a bookstore, the Scholastic Book Fair or the library, and I would see Goosebumps and I'd be like, I want to read that one. And you know, I still love horror, and I think that that foundation of Goosebumps is what started that off. I have a very soft spot for that series. And I do want to like revisit some of it at some point just to see like how it is as an adult. I'm sure it's probably terrible, but I remember loving it. As for comics, I've gone through a lot of phases with comics, because I started out with like superhero stuff, but I've shifted away from that pretty significantly in recent years. But I would say probably Alan Moore's Swamp Thing was something that I read very early on that has stuck with me, that has kind of influenced the other comics I've read, because Alan Moore's writing is a certain standard that I come to expect from comic writers today. Like I think he's kind of near the apex, to the pinnacle of what comic writing can be. I also think that the art in that throughout that run by Bissett and Veitch was terrific, and had some great scary moments, some beautiful romantic moments. It's just a really important series to me, and I think it's affected me a lot in terms of how I judge other books, like of the time and even now. Have you ever considered hosting live chats or podcasts on your channel? You were so awesome in our chat, and I think you are a natural. That's Cliff from Cliff Stark Gems asking that. Thank you very much for the kind words, Cliff. Cliff and I had a great conversation on his channel a few months back now about horror books and my experience with it. So I recommend you check that out if you want more information about me. I kind of teased something with Tom earlier. I'm hoping to get something going with him to do just a live chat about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because it's my favorite TV show, and he just finished watching it for the first time. So I wanted to do like a Buffy veteran versus a Buffy rookie kind of chat, and just see what we think of each season. I'm currently the holdup on that because I need to figure out how to make a live work, and if I have a good like connection for it and good setup, and just also scheduling. Also, I mean, Tom's appearance fees are just astronomical. I mean, he's gotten so he's gotten so popular and so famous. I mean, I don't know if I could afford him. Joking, obviously. But yeah, I work on something like that. But as for something like regular, like a regular chat, regular podcast, I don't think I have the energy for it. I think I make a really good guest star. So if you have a Booktube channel and you want to talk to me, reach out to me on Instagram or on Criminality's Discord, which is where I hang out a lot. And we can chat about that. But sometimes it can be hard to even just make these videos. So to come up with ideas for live shows, every week or bi-weekly or whatever, I just don't have the motivation for it, I think. But I appreciate the kind words. Do you play video games? If so, which ones? I love video games, but I don't play them much anymore. There's just only so many hours in the day. I do have a full-time job, and I do read as my primary hobby, and that's reading novels and comics and graphic novels. So there's a lot to read in the day. I've also taken up bookbinding as a hobby. I've done a few videos about that. So there's just not a lot of time. I think the last video game I completed was Super Mario Wonder. Before that, I did finish Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I thought both were great. I liked Tears of the Kingdom a whole lot. Sunk over 200 hours into that easily. But generally, I'll stick to like the big new Nintendo releases. I have a Switch. I have a PlayStation 4, and that's it. I don't do PC gaming. I just don't have the energy for it, the time for it, the want for it. I think video games peaked in the 90s when you would invite the closest friend over, closest like in terms of proximity, like your next door neighbor, just have them come over and just sit on your floor and play like Need for Speed Underground for a couple hours, or something like that. Games that I do like, I generally lean towards platformers. First-person shooters, I cannot stand them. I don't like any video game that relies on online play to be its like main attraction. I want to be able to turn a video game on in 5 or 10 years and play it and it have the full experience. So that's why I go back to like Crash Bandicoot. The first 3 games, Crash Bandicoot, I love. Mega Man X, Mega Man X2, those are great. There was a game a few years ago called Celeste, which I was obsessed with. I played Celeste so much. I did like amateur speed running of it just in my home. I could beat it in like under an hour, which was fun. So those are the kind of games I go for, but I don't get to play that much anymore. Do you have any interest in writing yourself? Books, short stories, comics? Not really. I don't have that type of mind. I can analyze a story pretty well and determine like what works, what doesn't. But in terms of putting one together myself, there's a tremendous amount of patience that goes into writing. What they don't tell you about writing when you first start it is that there's no such thing as writing an immediately finished product. It's a first draft, and then it's a second draft, and then it's a third draft, and it's all these edits and things, and getting other people to read it, getting their feedback, changing it based on feedback. I do not have the patience for that. If I cannot put out a finished product after my initial attempt, I'm not going back to it. So, unfortunately, not for me. What kind of music do you like to listen to? Much like video games, I stopped taking in new music when I was in high school. I listened to rock pretty much exclusively, across the spectrum of it. I enjoy some Simon and Garfunkel if I'm in the mood. I also enjoy some Slipknot if I'm in the mood. So anywhere in between. My favorite band of all time is My Chemical Romance. I was an emo kid in high school, so My Chem, The Used, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy. That was my little circle there. I would say in recent years I've gotten really into the Talking Heads. Obsessed with Talking Heads, think they're fantastic. And a band I've kind of gotten into recently, Ice Nine Kills. They are a heavy metal group that writes songs about horror movies and also books, and those are a lot of fun. So I recommend checking them out. What is the longest it's ever taken you to finish a book? So it's funny. I actually just reread this book lately and posted a review of it, but it was Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan. The first time I read it, it was right in the middle of COVID, and I was not in like a great place mentally, and I just wasn't in the mood for reading. So it took me like 6 months to get through Lord of Chaos. And what's funny is most of that time was just 4 months of not reading it. Like I just put it down, would pick it up, read a page, and then put it right back down because I just wasn't into it. And then I finally got like to the halfway point of that book. Something awesome happened, and then I like ran through it the rest of the way. So yeah, it took me 6 months to get through that. Let's see. Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic. Hey Gareth, asks, bouncing off of our live stream, Desert Island Flicks again. Who are your top film directors? So I did a guest appearance on Gareth's channel, and we talked about my 10 desert island movies. So that's another good one to check out if you want more information about me. Top film directors. Stanley Kubrick is like the big one. I wrote my college thesis, my senior thesis on Stanley Kubrick movies. I think he is a brilliant director, although, I mean, very problematic at times, not for everybody. And he is not without flaws. I can watch his movies critically and see where the weaknesses are, but the way that he tells a story visually, and with music and just with editing, the way that he composes a motion picture really speaks to me. And 2001: A Space Odyssey is probably my favorite movie ever. A Clockwork Orange, The Shining, Doctor Strangelove. These are all movies that I've seen dozens of times, and they're just entrancing. I love them. Akira Kurosawa is a big one for me. I think that there's never been a better director in history than Kurosawa at shot composition, like blocking. Just being able to compose a meaningful image using only just the mise-en-scène, like things in the picture, characters in correlation to each other, and their movements, like not moving the camera a lot, but making the characters within the scene move a lot. I think Kurosawa is, the pinnacle of that. I love the Coen brothers. Their early movies, like Fargo is great. Big Lebowski's terrific. Barton Fink is an underrated one by them that I love. David Lynch is also another director that I find fascinating, even if his movies aren't always my favorite. they're always interesting to talk about for the most part. um, so yeah, he's a creator that has been consistently breaking rules and doing his own thing since he came out the gate with Eraserhead in '77. So yeah, David Lynch, he's a really like just special talent. What are the best and worst novel to film adaptations, in my opinion? Um, well, in terms of like replicating the feel of the source material, like in terms of that kind of best adaptation definition, I would say something like Jurassic Park is wonderful. The Exorcist, the original Exorcist, those are movies that take the source material and keep all of the major beats, and also just uh, adapt it in such a way that to make them work for the visual medium, which that's the key to film adaptation, is to take what works in the book and change it in such a way that it works visually, because what works in text doesn't always work visually, and vice versa. People don't realize that, so you can't just do one-to-one most of the time. It's like simply not possible. um, Adaptations that take the source material and then kind of do their own thing with it. Some of those great ones are Annihilation. I think the Annihilation book was fine, like the first book of the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. People love that book. I didn't. I thought it was really underwhelming, but I think the movie is exceptional. I also think of like The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining has very little to do with Stephen King's The Shining, but they're both spectacular. And the various like Mike Flanagan TV shows that he's done for Netflix. So, Fall of the House of Usher, which just was last year, I thought was fantastic. His Haunting of Hill House, I think, is maybe one of the best horror TV shows ever made. One of the best horror things ever made. Haunting of Bly Manor was also terrific. So yeah, anything Mike Flanagan's done. All of his film adaptations too, like Gerald's Game was way better than the book. Yeah, like Doctor Sleep was great by him, so I really like him. Worst adaptations, David Lynch's Dune. I just rewatched it recently. That movie really sucks. That movie really sucks. It's got some like fun, iconic imagery, but as a movie, it sucks. It's a bad movie, just objectively. Watchmen is one that comes to mind. Anything Zack Snyder's done, really. Anything that Zack Snyder did everything he's done sucks, but especially his adaptations, like Batman v Superman or The Man of Steel. I don't like Zack Snyder at all. I don't vibe with his directing style. I think Watchmen's one of the best stories ever written, and he made it so incredibly boring. Just I don't like him. I do not like his vision for what a movie should be. Does not align with my reality in any way. So yeah, there's that. Is there a specific book that I would like to see adapted for film or TV? Not really. I wouldn't mind seeing some Brandon Sanderson stuff in live action. That would be pretty cool. I think Mistborn would probably make a pretty good TV show or something. But in general, I'm happy to like just let books be books. How many books on average do you read a year? Before I started this channel, wasn't really a lot. I would say maybe like anywhere from 20 to like 40 books a year, depending on just mood and what kind of series I was reading. But since I started this channel, my output's gone up. 2 years in a row where I read over a book a week. Last year, I read 91 books, which is easily the most I've ever read. I'm not going to hit that mark this year. I'm reading some longer stuff. And I'm also just kind of, I want to slow down a little bit and take my time with stuff. So yeah, I don't know. That wasn't really an answer because it kind of bounces all over the place depending on mood. But I don't know. I would say maybe, let's say 50, split the difference between everything. What's the best horror novel you've ever read? The only novel I've ever read that actually made me like have the shivers, like made a chill run up my spine, was House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. That was creepy. That was a creepy book. I'm really creeped out by ordinary things that behave in ways that they're not supposed to. So like something as simple as a house whose walls grow a few inches a day, like, freaks me out. Don't like that stuff. But another one that I think of is From Below by Darcy Coates. I mentioned in my review of that book, I am not a fan of the ocean. I think we don't belong there. There's no reason for us to explore it. It's big. There's stuff in there that's spooky. That's all we got to know. Like, leave it alone. From Below really tapped into that, like, thalassophobia that I have. I thought it was great. So I love that one. What is your favorite book series? Wheel of Time, probably. In the middle of my reread of it now, and I'm enjoying it greatly. I'm also really digging the 87th Precinct. I've read, I don't know how many books, maybe 10 books of that by now, and I've loved all of them. They're so much fun. Really dig the 87th Precinct by Ed McBain. What's your favorite YA series? I don't read YA generally. I have read YA books, like, individually, but as for series, I don't have one. I've never even read Harry Potter. I just don't care about it. Yeah, no, nothing like against YA. It's not like, oh, I would never deign to read YA. It's just it doesn't. Typically, the writing style of YA doesn't always work for me. So I just don't reach for it. And finally, what are your goals for your YouTube channel? Is there a subscriber goal you want to reach by the end of 2024? My only goal with this channel is to continue enjoying myself. Like I said in the beginning, never anticipated anybody watching any of these that I didn't know personally. I just want to have fun, and if the day ever comes where I stop having fun, then I'm going to stop doing this, because it's not something that I'm doing as like a job. I'm not making this my career. This is only a hobby, and if the hobby ever reaches the point where it's becoming more effort than it's worth, then I've got no problem stopping it or putting it on pause. I've actually considered recently slowing down my output, doing fewer videos, just because I haven't had the time and my motivation is slipping a little bit. Hitting 1,000 subscribers kind of peaked it back up again. So maybe I'll keep going a little bit longer. But yeah, we'll see. It's all just going to be a matter of how I'm feeling. If the more subscribers I get, maybe that'll motivate me more. But also, what it really just comes down to is whether I'm enjoying myself or not. So that's it. So thank you all for your questions. I hope you found that interesting, and I hope you continue to watch my videos. I hope that you find my reviews to be helpful and informative and entertaining. I hope you watch my comic videos as well, and if you're here for my comic videos, I hope you watch my book videos as well. I think I have more comic subscribers than novel subscribers at this point. So please check out both. I think I put a lot of effort. Well, I put some effort into both. And I just want to share it, get it out there, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you all very much for your time today. But now it's time to get back to reading.